So, the journey begins. Why are you on this journey?
This is the year 2012, and we're already more than 20 years in our hometown in Austria. And somehow, the whole time, the whole age is on the verge to change. And it's not just of letting myself change and waiting, expecting a change. I rather choose to be the change. So, in saying that, we tried to figure out a way what's our future gonna be like. Also our future together with our children and together with our brothers and sisters all over the world. So this was the quest for this summer of 2012, to look into different blessed families, to look around, to talk to each other, to visit each other, and to find out who else has that same quest, that same feeling that something is still to be done somehow. That's what we feel, that's what I feel. So when I joined the church a long time ago, it was not really the church what I joined in the beginning. I joined family. I had my own family, of course, my parents, my siblings, but still I joined a family which had a higher ideal. And my wife had the same experience, completely independently from myself. So, but when we started our own family, despite of all my dreams, when we really were living as a larger family, despite all these dreams, we could not really maintain that kind of spirit and of love and of closeness and of idealism, maybe, what actually I was experiencing in that new family, what I lived at and lived with. So somehow, as our kids grew older, I discovered that we had followed the model what we actually gave our life, what we actually where we left our life. We actually had a vision or an ideal of an ideal family, and we caught ourselves living actually the kind of life what we at a former time left because we didn't like it anymore. So actually our family grew up in a way, traditional way, like everybody else, and sooner or later there wasn't too much difference anymore between our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues, and our brothers and sisters from the church and us. So somehow, for me, that was not enough. Not fast enough to really create that kingdom and that model what I was looking for. So in the end, somehow for me it got dramatic, because there was no other way as our children to actually go out to this world, get positions and jobs there, to exactly that world where we left 30 years ago to build a new world. So somehow I got very desperate, and I'm trying to find out who else is thinking that way. Did everybody else maybe just accept that and live the traditional way? Or is there anybody out there which is still feeling like I do and like we do, to become or to create this new culture, to create this new community, where a new society where actually we all can live together, where also there is a lot of fun together, and where we don't bother each other. So this is for me the quest right now, to find out, and if there are more like that, more families feeling like that, why not consolidate? Why not form this tribe, this community together, where also the second and third generation and further generations can connect and feel the power, the energy, the vision, and also just practically have job opportunities right there together. So this is the journey we are in the year 2012, in the summer, in the United States, to visit every day families, find out who is on that same level of energy and of ideas, and how we can create this new we, this new life together. If you could describe like an ideal community for the Unification Church, for the blessed families, you're an architect, what would it look like?
Well, you know, I've been chasing that dragon for quite a while. That question is big to me, and I've actually have a lot of opportunities to build physically community in this church. So I really love this subject, and it's close to my heart, and it's also a pretty perilous path because it's not easy. I think I've failed as many times as I've been successful, maybe more. But you know, my wife and I are quite famous for our coffee shop in Manhattan. So I joined church in Europe, like from Austria. I joined in London in '89, and then basically when I came back to the United States. Hi.
This is a family who had a Swiss party.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Famous.
Anyways, but
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So yeah, okay. Everywhere I go, I'm recognized for my community strengths. She said, these are the guys that did the sushi party last night. So anyway, when I came back from Europe, I was part of the headquarters. I stayed at headquarters after a little time on MFT, traveling around the country, fundraising, getting ready for the blessing. I was able to work at headquarters, and my time there was really focused on my architectural skills, and I saw an opportunity to build a coffee shop that was right on 5th Avenue. You know, the building touched the ground, and it was an old burned out mailroom that nobody touched for years. So for me, that was impossible, so I said, let's do this. You know, young, 27, 28, like, let's do this. You know, and I got Michael Inglis, my good friend at the time. He was working at headquarters and really believed in the vision and helped with the money and everything, which was very important to have a backer. And then we built a coffee shop, and it was called Crossing. It was very successful for over a decade. Even when Starbucks moved right next door to us, people still came because we had that energy of embracing, and also it was such a magic place to just talk and listen and explore. And it was a bridge. And it was a bridge for our membership, which is in headquarters, because they needed a place desperately to have community. So the coffee shop was perfect for that. They felt community in our own movement. Otherwise, it was just a job. You're at church headquarters.
Right.
And our local community outside in Manhattan, the people working in the area, found community. because we made sure the energy was like that. And then what happened was we had pianos in there, and people would come in and play pianos, and we'd just sit and talk and listen. And that environment was really where the first experience with community building happened for me. It was very successful. So I really, on that foundation, we have a lot of skills in building community, my wife and I. And my wife really ran it. After I stopped and got into architecture, she ran it for 10 years. So the next experience I had was, again, with Michael Inglis. We're working directly with True Parents in New York. That was a big time. True Parents were constantly in the Manhattan Center, constantly running projects in America and New York in the 90s, mid-90s. And we basically, it was Father's vision to build physical homes on the East Garden property for his children. So this is a huge topic. Like, do our kids, what does it look like? Do our kids live with us physically? And so we worked with Hyunjin first, and his house was we subdivided part of that property into 7 lots. So we were ready to build 7 houses. And then that first house basically got built. We did it. But in general, I think it's a little idealistic to think that all your kids want to live with you, because they really didn't. Some of them did, but some of them didn't. They wanted independence, but they want to be with their parents too. So it was a catch-22. So I really learned, like, the desire's there, but physically, the architecture, the structure needs to be conducive.
Right.
And so even in True Parents' case, they really didn't convince their children to come build houses and live with them physically at East Garden. It is what it is, right? I don't know what that's like now. I don't know where their children are, but the children have a lot of independence. One of the children, Hyunjin, is living on the property still, and that's going well. So you can't say it's not right for some, right for us. My next experience with this kind of community building was actually helping to design and build King Garden in Kona, Hawaii, Big Island. And Father's vision was to, and really Mother's vision, because Mother loves Hawaii, was to build a house, right, on the perfect elevation of 1,000 feet above sea level on Kona, where all the coffee grows. Perfect temperature all year round, so it was almost like a sanctuary for True Parents. Hawaii was the place they would go and just have fun with their family, relax, and enjoy paradise. So I was the project manager and designer with another Korean brother, my age, a little younger. So I was kind of working with the younger generation, which was cool. He was not a second gen, but he was, he was my age or younger. So that made a good chemistry. Like, we were really making it happen. It was very stressful, not easy. At the same time, we were developing a new coffee farm, 27 acres, and we were also I was working with local communities, environmentalists wanted to build community as well. So I was looking at other properties they wanted to build to live together. So it's really like, way deep into what does community look like for True Parents, for True Family, for other people just living.
From Canada, live in northern Ontario, Sudbury, Ontario, in Canada. Lived in the States 15 years. Spent 7 years here at UTS, and I'm here.
So Roddy, if you could describe an ideal community of the unification movement, what would it look like?
Well, I've been thinking about this a long, long time. I have 7 children, and I've been thinking about what way of service could we love the community so they would want to hear how we got there. And I knew it wasn't in theology. It had to be in some service, in some practice, in some way of loving their children, so they would want to know, how did we get there? As a family, how did we get there to affect the community? So I felt it would start with me individually, then my own children. Then we'd create a love environment of service and education and sports and performing arts and all the different ways and disciplines that parents are raising their children anyway. We create a love environment of that sort, and the parents would want to know what theology, what understanding do we have to create that, and then divine principle would be educated to that.
Simple answer to that question, because each geographic area, each nationality has different flavors, different tastes. But what I envision for our family, living in New Jersey and experiencing going out to Camp Shahakwa the last 15 years with my family, is a coming together, a grassroots, natural development of blessed families that have been around each other for many years. Many of us are from the 2075 couple blessing, so we have 30 years history with each other. And there's something that we could give to our second generation at this time that is really precious, and that is the natural beauty of God's creation, the environment with the proper land. And the second generation have so many pursuits, whether it's in the arts, the music, film development, or it's in the sports entertainment area, or it's in the engineering and development of natural resources. So I think an ideal community, Unification community, could possibly contain all of those functions, because these are all necessary functions of our life. And so you need enough space, enough resources, natural resources and financial resources and people resources to have the natural development of each person's pursuit and skills and gifts and talents. So, and how we share, how we communicate, what kind of guidelines and principles, those are things we have to explore and identify.
Families, that is, husbands and wives, living together with their children and their grandchildren in harmony with one another, in a natural relationship with the environment. That is, being able to cultivate food, raise their own food crops, raise their own animals if they're not vegetarians, and engage in a harmonious means by which they can generate energy to power their homes, and spend a lot of time together enjoying life.
Well, ideal for me would be different than the average consumer ideal. I think ideal for me would probably be somewhere not inland, more coastal related, somewhere near the beach. Very quiet. I wouldn't want to say a lot of distractions. So somewhat isolated, I guess you could say, where we can just run around the beach, no lifeguards, we can do pretty much as we wish. And but for the average person, to be the most structural as possible, probably would have to be more inland, because more of the isolated regions are more inland, unfortunately.
Well, like my brother, I always imagined, my dream my entire life was to live in the coastal area, so somewhere along like the east coast of the United States or the west coast, and a little bit more isolated. And so where we could just live together as a community, maybe around like 10 families, and we could just do like our daily activities, and we could just have a relationship among trust and camaraderie. and so we could carpool together because there's just a lot of trust going around, and babysit like a sibling or taking care of a dog or whatever. So that's always been my dream for pretty much my entire life.
Yeah, sharing assets. Yeah, it's good. So pool together.
Yeah.
Increase your disposable income.
And it's free.
It would look, well, it would be easier to go around places without being scared, like at night would someone come and no one would steal your stuff?
Like someone stole your bike, right?
Yes. Left it up for like an hour in the daylight.
I mean, the idea of living together as a family federation, that's something that's never been done before, as far as I know. So, I mean, idea sounds great, but there every family has to like make a big investment to make this happen. You just can't contribute like a small amount of donation, and then it's not going to work out. So like you need families, everyone has to go like over 100%, 110% committed. Otherwise, it's never going to work out realistically.
I think the best case study would probably be the Mormons in Utah. I mean, when you think of Utah, low crime rate, the majority of, the same common belief, and it seems like a great environment to live in. I mean, I would definitely like to be in some kind of environment like that, just because, the people are just so friendly and you enjoy your life. I mean, that's the whole purpose why we're here.
There's also the Mennonites in Paraguay, where my mom grew up. It's like Paraguay gave like this whole countryside to the Mennonites because they were fleeing from persecution from Germany for a long time ago, and so they got this like a lot of land just for them, and so it's like only Mennonites, and they even have their own language in the schools, which is like a German dialect. And I mean, it seems just so peaceful, and everyone just lives together, and they like build their own schools. They did their like the stores and like a little government kind of thing going on. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Imagine having your own community, like we run the town.
Yeah,
That'd be interesting. That'd be pretty cool.